the box cover was like the one of the main places that I'm like, okay, this is where I can actually do something. So.
So hey, we're here with Tyler Holman, who is bringing us the game Dice Command. It's currently live on Kickstarter, and Tyler, you funded in the first day. Is that correct?
Yeah, we're actually super excited about that. It was about 8.5 hours. So I mean, we had a pretty low funding goal, but yeah, we were super happy about that.
Congratulations.
Awesome.
That's really awesome.
Thank you.
So could you tell us a little bit about Dice Command? I've seen it on a lot of the online sites. I've seen it on Facebook, and I really thought that it looks really good. I like how I've sought feedback from different creators in the community on how does this logo look? How does this look? And so I've really enjoyed kind of watching you all put that together. So can you talk a little bit about that, and then also just about what the game's all about?
Yeah, so it's funny because like reaching out for help and asking, like you said, other developers and designers' opinions. It's also like low key marketing. It's kind of like putting your stuff out there, but still also getting helpful feedback for it. So we bounced around all the Facebook groups. We've Instagram actually has been a huge benefit for us. Getting a lot of people to play test on Tabletopia. That was just massive. That was game changing for us. I think I put in like 150 play tests in a couple months as soon as we got it up on Tabletopia, just all with different people, which was really, really cool.
Can you talk a little bit about that? So Tabletopia, that definitely, so that's the online, basically you imported your game online and people can play it remotely against someone else, right, over the internet.
Yeah, exactly. That's it's almost exactly what you said. It's a digital version of our game. Click and drag. You play the game as you would normally, but just on a screen on your computer. There are other platforms like Tabletop Simulator. I know a lot of developers and designers prefer that platform because you can get a little more tricky with designing it and what you add to it. But I found for just ease of asking people to help me and play the game, Tabletopia was by far superior. I send them the link and it's done. They don't have to download Steam. They don't have to figure out the user interface on anything. They just click the link and they're good.
So I see here in your Kickstarter, you describe it as a semi-abstract tactical war game for 2 to 4 players with dice, action selection, and engine building. So talk a little bit about that. What are the key mechanisms?
So the key, at its heart, it started off as a 2-player game at its core. It plays very well at the 2-player and 4-player versions. The 3-player, we have a couple different 3-player and 4-player variants. They're kind of just for fun, like free for all. But yeah, the game itself, we wanted to make something that we had a couple other projects, and due to COVID, we kind of had to shelf them for the time being. And we had this kind of a smaller game. We wanted, it to be our first Kickstarter. We might have been a little too ambitious with our other projects. So it kind of could have been like blessing in disguise. We shelved those. We pulled out this smaller game, basic components. It's small, quick, easy to play, or easy to jump into anyways. But yeah, at its core, dice placement. So kind of like the worker placement feel to it. It's got a little bit of engine building. How the game works is your dice are your units. So at the start of your turn, you'll roll your dice inside your barracks, and you can then assign them to particular actions that you want to take. So you can generate more money. You can deploy them out onto the board, and that's essentially how you're going to win. But every unit you send out onto the field means one less action on your consecutive turn. So there's a bit of engine building that way. You have to kind of keep maintaining your barracks, or else you'll eventually, you'll have a turn where you have like 1 or 2 actions because you made a really hard push, and then now you kind of got to rebuild for a turn.
Awesome. Well, yeah, thanks for that good description. So, Aud, you got any questions or anything that sticks out in your mind?
Yeah, so I'm looking at some of the components on the game, and the dice look especially cool to me. I was wondering if you could talk a little bit about the design of it and what pieces or elements of the game you can kind of speak to some of your passion about.
Yeah, it's actually really funny because I'm the illustrator and graphic designer for the game as well. But like I made a game that was abstract and almost had no art in it. I don't know how that happened. It just it just fell into place that way. So I got to flex my muscle a little bit with the box cover and the board. But it was funny, yeah. We just made like a random sort of abstract game. When we first started playing it, it had like no theme. It was just like dice on a grid, and we're like, okay, how can we make this fun and actually not just dice and a board? You can't sell that, right? Yeah, and it's just slowly developed into what it is. With we like I said, we wanted to keep it basic components because it keeps the cost down. I think we're in Canada, it's about 45, and I think that's roughly what 34 US. I'm not sure what the conversion is at the moment, but
Close
we
enough.
want, yeah, close. We wanted to keep it like as low as we could, right? We're not looking to make it big on our first game. We just want to get it into as many hands as possible, and that's kind of why we stuck with the dice as our worker placement mechanic there.
So it sounds like this is maybe an initial launch and we can expect some expansions from here, or?
Yeah, we definitely have a couple ideas for either some expansions on the game. We have a couple ideas. It kind of depends what we want to go with, but one idea was kind of like a more of a co-op and like similar idea with like mechanics and gameplay, but change it to be more co-op and like a fantasy theme. Something like that, but it kind of depends. We'll just see where it goes, and what we'll have to have a sit down and be like, okay, what's our next project going to be?
How long does it take to play the game?
For two people that have played it before, you can sit down and hammer one out in about 20-30 minutes. And it's very tactical, so it definitely scratches that itch if you want to play like a heavy thinky game. But you can still pump one out in about half hour. For a couple people who have never played and they have to learn the rules and everything, probably closer to an hour for a 2-player game.
Can you talk about your timeline? Do you have kind of a projected timeline on when you think the game will be produced, or?
Yeah, so just being like pretty vague, we don't want to commit to too much with shipping and everything the way it is right now, but third quarter next year.
Okay.
Roughly was when we're hoping to get it into people's hands.
All right. And let's talk a little bit about the pledge tier. So you've got your print and play pledge tier, which is that available immediately, or how's that work?
So we're as soon as the campaign will be done, then it'll be available. Just in case like we add extra content like those cards and such with
exactly.
specials. So we have to wait a little bit, but yeah, that'll be available fairly soon. Basically, you just have to supply the dice. But other than that, everything else will be able to print and cut and make your own version of the game. And that one is 10 Canadian.
All right, cool. And so your core game, and then you've also got, let's talk a little bit about this 5-star general pledge here. Are you sold out on that one, or?
Actually, I haven't checked. I think we have maybe 2 left?
3 left. I'm seeing
left?
as of this moment, there's 3 left. That's kind of cool.
Yeah, so that's kind of like it would essentially be like your all-in deluxe version pledge. So you will get like a neoprene mat. We have I have a little 3D printed tank minis. Let's see if you can get that on there.
Cool.
You can put your dice in, and they kind of like motor around the board.
Nice.
In the
That's
game,
cool.
Cool idea.
if you stack your dice in the game, then they actually count kind of as tanks, and you move them around the board. So this will just like kind of hold them in so they don't fall over as easy. So yeah, you get those, the neoprene mat. What else?
And then your name and rank printed on special ops cards. That's pretty cool.
So that's the main one. That's kind of like the main grab to it is we wanted to add a little bit of asymmetry into the game. So Again, these cards will be like an optional version if you want to play and start, like you've played a couple times, you want to kind of change it up a little bit. So you'll draft these cards, and they'll essentially give each player a unique ability that they can play on for that game. And so it's kind of like a special operations. It's like a memo. And at the bottom, it'll be signed, and it'll have your name and your rank on it. And that will be in every copy of the Kickstarter games that we sell.
Very cool. I want to ask you a question about the art. You said you were the artist on this, and I see this canvas art print, and I'm really taking notice just how awesome that looks. As a lot of people know, I'm a military guy. I was in the Marines for 17 years. And
yeah, I saw the helmet in the background.
Yeah, and so I really dig it. I think it looks really, really good. Tell me about that and what inspired you to do that, or tell me a little bit about the design experience, if you could.
Yeah, I mean, thank you very much. I definitely appreciate that. So yeah, I kind of want to, like I said, I'm an illustrator, and I ended up making a game that has almost no art. Which was, I don't know how it happened. It just did. But the box cover was like the one of the main places that I'm like, okay, this is where I can actually do something. So we initially just had like our logo, I think, at first start. And I'm like, no, like, I don't know. It was one day, it was like super nice outside. So I just kind of took my little office, set up outside, and I started painting this cover. I did digitally painting. But yeah, so for the design for it, I knew our constraints were about a 10:5 ratio, so 1:2, and just played around with some compositional ideas, what looked cool. I wanted to get the war theme in there. I still wanted to keep it a little abstract. That's why most of the figures are kind of like dark.
Yeah, just kind of shadow. Yeah,
Yeah, and I didn't want to like commit too much to like one way or the other. Like, not all ally, not all
right.
Axis.
Yeah, I saw that in your commentary in some of the design forums, and I really appreciated that you were kind of trying to go for a neutral
yeah, like
military theme, and it like could be in any country really. I thought it really
Yeah, like we hint at it, like obviously there's green and blue dice, so those would kind of lean in towards the allies, right? And then there's the black and then the red dice, so those would kind of lean into the Axis. But there's nowhere that actually says, like Nazis or Germany or
yeah. Well, I think it's a really cool theme. I think it really works for me with the tanks, and then this this 3D printed tank makes it even cooler if you're able to do that. But yeah, very, very awesome. It really looks cool, and it's getting a lot of fanfare. So it got a lot of positive reviews in the previews, and now you're getting all this action online. So so where do we go from here?
Yeah,
you're at 82, almost 8,300.
Yeah,
and
nice.
where do you want to see this at? Where do you feel like, hey, we've hit what we want to do? What's your goal on this?
We're hoping, maybe like the 10, 11-ish.
We're gonna kill that one. We're gonna blow way past 11. Come on, we've got the Kickstarter Games crew, all of our subscribers behind us. They're gonna go right now to Kickstarter, and they're going to back Dice Command. And Audrey, putting that on the list to back for a retail backer for our store, kickstartergames.com. And we really appreciate you taking the time to talk to us about your game. That's the thing that we love about what we're doing with our channel and our website is, independent artists like you who are out there coming up with these designs, doing the art from scratch. I mean, so much hard effort has gone into it, and man, we just want to share that with other people because you've created something that people are enjoying, and that's super cool. So we really commend you for that. I certainly do.
Thank you. Yeah, definitely appreciate that. It's funny, we there's always like marketing tips and guidelines and stuff, and people are like, oh, so what'd you do? Like, you got any tips? It's like, I don't know. We're probably like the worst people to ask because we had like 0 email list when we launched. You know, everyone's like, you gotta get like a couple thousand, 5,000 email lists ready. And I think our email list had like 50 people on it. We did mostly direct everyone to our Kickstarter notification page. So that took a little bit of it that way. But a lot of the response is a lot of people are like, oh, I'm not into like war games, but like I really love the game. So you know, maybe we could have done a little bit better of like getting the game out there and like mechanically to people and like see how they would have
right.
Maybe got it that way.
There's chances to reskin it and other themes or whatever.
Yeah, exactly.
It's like a pretty, you know, malleable gameplay style, and for you guys to the success you have had, and we're really going to see you crush that goal. So, Aud, you got any last minute questions before we let them go?
Yeah, I'm just curious if there are any other ways our Kickstarter gamers can get involved. Is he still looking for people to test play or anything else that we can help with?
Yeah, no, we're always, if anyone, like, I think there's actually a Tabletopia link on the
Kickstarter page, isn't there?
But
I just saw that at the very bottom.
If anyone ever wants to sit down with myself or Sam, the other designer, we're always open to sit down and play and teach you guys the game and hammer one out and just, you know, talk shop for a little bit. That's not a worry at all. We're always happy to do that.
I love how you've embraced the online, the Tabletopia, and really leaned into it. I think, you know, obviously with COVID, people are a little restricted. There's not as many conventions, but
yeah, we didn't get to do anything like that this year for this game. So yeah, we had to lean into the online. Basically virtual door knocking, like, hey, how's it going? I see you like games. Do you want to try this out maybe?
Well, hey, I admire y'all's tenacity and everything that you're doing on this one. So you're going to kick it out of the park. And yeah, thanks so much for taking the time with us. And
no problem. Thank you for having me.
Yeah, thank you so much, Tyler.
It's really nice meeting you guys. Definitely appreciate it.
Soldiers, sailors, and airmen of the Allied Expeditionary Force, you are about to embark upon the great crusade toward which we have striven these many months. The eyes of the world are upon you. Your task will not be an easy one. Your enemy is well-trained, well-equipped, and battle-hardened. He will fight savagely. I have full confidence in your courage, devotion to duty, and skill in battle. We will accept nothing less than full victory.
Welcome to Dice Command, a lightning-fast, semi-abstract tactical wargame for 2 to 4 players. Assign your army of units represented by dice, along with your hard-earned credits and research tokens, to build up an engine, deploy to the battlefield, and engage your enemy. The key to victory is through your command center. Here you can conscript units, gain credits, and research tokens, to ultimately engage on the battlefield. In addition to the command center, you'll find a rotating selection of powerful tactical advantage cards to turn the tides of battle. If you manage to control the central marked locations, you'll also be able to use special abilities on different facilities each game. Once you're done choosing your turn's actions, resolve them in any order to deploy to the battlefield and engage your enemy. Once you've pushed through or outmaneuvered your opponent, get 4 units behind their front line to claim victory. Dice Command comes with 3 formats of play: 2-player 1 versus 1, 3 to 4 player free-for-all, or 4-player 2 versus 2. Exclusive to Kickstarter, your pledge will receive a special ops deck, which adds an asymmetric ability to each player. Additionally, you'll get a 3D printable STL file for a tank mini that holds an entire armored division. We at Ejected Planet want to thank you for your support in helping build Dice Command. We cannot do this without you. See you on the battlefield.